Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 30 female, have an 11-year-old son with my ex-husband, 42 male. My husband and I had struggled a lot when my son was first born, up until me and my ex had divorced when my son was 5. Me and my husband kept it civil, didn't even go to court for child support or visitation. We simply did a 50-50 and have an expense fund for our son that we used to split all the expenses 50-50 between us. My husband's wife knows about our fund account and thought it was an awesome idea and even started to do the same with her daughter's father. We all get along fairly well. Around 3 years ago, I had landed an awesome job and now earn enough to live extremely comfortable. Within these 3 years, I paid off my entire home, my student loans, and even added $50,000 to my son's college fund, and will continue to add to his fund. If he doesn't want to go to college, he can buy his first home with the money. Last weekend, I had a barbecue at my home, where my ex-husband and his wife complimented me on all the new home improvements I did to my home. They asked me if it was a good idea since I don't own the home. I quickly said I own the home paid in full. In a joking manner, they said, "Prove it." So I showed them all the paperwork for my home and my son's college fund. My ex-husband looked at me as if I had dropped a bomb right in his front lawn and asked where did all the money come from. I told them about my job, and his wife looked sad and they excused themselves. Later, I had gotten a call from his wife saying flaunting my wealth in their faces, knowing they were struggling, hurts them. She went on to say that my son will not be treated the same if his sister knew that his future is basically handed to him, and she'll have to work all her life for the same luxury and opportunities as her brother. I reminded her that our kids are only siblings by marriage, and it's something that just comes with having a blended family. Not everything is fair. She went on to say I should at least split the fund in half, or help them pay for their mortgage on their home. I had told her I could do so, but I'm not going to, all things considered. I'm not obligated to help anyone but my son financially, especially a child I have no claim to. My son came to me saying my ex-husband demanded he splits the fund once he turns 18 with his stepsister. My son says he doesn't want his fund split, and I reassured him that it wasn't going to be. Ever since then, my ex-husband's family has been going out of their way to contact me in regards to my money. I've helped his brother with a few $100s because he needed a new water heater, but that's all. I told my ex-husband to stop mentioning my money to his family, and he said if I can't help his daughter, the least I could do is help his family out. I said no and restricted our contact to email. His wife is still calling, and his family has recently asked me to help out with my ex's niece's wedding plans, which I said no to. I love my ex-niece, but she's no longer my niece, sadly, so I can't. So am I the a-hole? Well, I think OP was very silly to show the ex and his wife proof of her money. OP does not need to prove anything. It's their problem if they don't believe her. So was OP bragging a bit? Now she has let herself and her totally innocent child in for years of nagging and whining for money. He should not be put in the middle, and OP helped to do that. Of course, OP owes them nothing. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Things not to do. Prove to an ex your financial situation has improved so much that you've paid off your home, plus a bunch of other things. That's nobody's business. Now they have 7 years to work on your son, and you are so going to get sued for custody and support. Not the a-hole for refusing to help, but a giant one for revealing all to the ex when your son's in the middle. Not the a-hole. And don't think I didn't catch that your ex was 31 and you 19 when your son was born. He was already a crap man when he became a father, and he's even worse now. You finally see some success, and he wants to mooch off of you. Not the a-hole. You didn't flaunt your money. They asked you to prove something, and you did. Frankly, why they would think you would give your hard-earned money to pay their mortgage or deprive your child of future funds to support an unrelated child, I do not know. Situations change, and you need to save any spare cash for your own future. Who knows when you might need it? I, 54 male, have 2 children, 23 female and 21 male, with my wife, 52 female. When the kids were young, my parents set up education funds for both of them, which was very generous of them. My wife and I always expected our kids to attend college and then graduate school as we have done. I have a PhD, My wife has a master's. Because of this, we decided not to use the funds for our kids' undergrad degrees and did not tell them about the money. My daughter has always been more into the liberal arts, while my son is more of a STEM guy. My wife and I worried about her ability to find a job, but she insisted on studying music and film in college. She was accepted to some top schools and chose to attend a rather expensive one, but she had scholarships to cover almost all of her tuition. Everything else, plus living expenses, was her responsibility. She lived in a very small apartment shared with friends in a not-so-nice area far from campus, but she was fine and learned how to budget effectively. After graduating, she luckily found a job that doesn't pay extremely well, but she enjoys, and scrapped the idea of grad school. My son decided to do engineering, and he also expressed that he had no interest in grad school. My wife and I were disappointed, but accepted it since at this point, he is already all set up with a very good job when he completes school. Since he did not receive as many scholarships as his sister, we decided to use his education fund to cover his tuition and living expenses. He was able to get a large and nice apartment of his own close to the school, which is important since his classes are so demanding, and he needs a comfortable space to work. My daughter was confused and asked how he could afford this, and he told her about the education fund. She called us and asked why she didn't have one, and we told her she did. We just didn't use it because we hoped she would attend grad school. She seemed hurt by this and asked if there was any way she could have the money now. We explained that there would be a fee to simply withdraw the money for non-education uses, and if we chose to do that, it would belong to her grandparents, so they could put it towards their own use. She's been quiet and short when answering our texts, and hasn't answered our calls at all since then. I know that it seems unfair to her, but it's not really her money in the first place, and she's no longer in college. Plus, her brother only received it for educational purposes, and it wouldn't be right for her to just have it to spend now. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole, and I'm surprised between your PhD and master's degrees, you couldn't figure that out. So, let me get this right. Your daughter attended college and had a scholarship. Your son attended college with no scholarship. You chose to not let your daughter use her college fund for everything that her scholarship didn't cover, and you let your son use his scholarship for everything. The college fund that you said wasn't even her money, but isn't yours either. What exactly do you plan to do with her college money? You're the a-hole for this. Do you know why all that you did seems unfair to your daughter? Because it is unfair to your daughter. You had the ability to use the funds to cover her living expenses during undergraduate. This, of course, is a bit bizarre. Are you a trustee of a trust? Or did the grandparents set up a 529 plan and gave you full control over it? Yet you did not even tell your daughter about these funds. Talk about a faithless trustee. At this point, you need to grovel. You need to apologize for substituting your judgment as to the best way to use the funds for your daughter's judgment. You need to make amends. Then you need to circle back and see what the terms of your parents' bequest were. And honestly, I'd get an attorney to do this for you, as you've already demonstrated your judgment is beyond suspect. Most trusts have provisions for disbursement of the corpus if the purposes cannot be fulfilled. I doubt honestly, though, that your parents meant for their gift to be returned to them in the event that their grandkids didn't go to college, or in the event that they didn't need the money for college. And don't even get me started on the favoritism. You used the funds for your son to enjoy a cushy life during his undergraduate studies, but didn't do the same for your little girl? Really? Seriously? In case there was any doubt, you're the a-hole, truly and completely. Update. I understand the consensus is that my wife and I are the a-hole. I texted my daughter to ask if she wanted us to withdraw the money for her, what she wanted to do. This was her response. I don't care. Maybe they can transfer it to other grandkid who is 5, if the fee is seriously too much. I don't know about grad school. I haven't thought about it much recently. If I do apply, it wouldn't be for another couple years, and I hadn't been counting on having any financial help in the first place, so it really doesn't even matter. Thanks for asking, though. Update 2. My wife and I are discussing our daughter's response and our next actions to resolve this situation. For context, my wife has always had a strained relationship with my daughter and did not approve of many of her life choices. She believes she should take our daughter's word at face value and assume she no longer wants the money. From some of the responses here, I fear that my daughter's response was out of resentment, and I suggested taking out as much money as her brother was given, so at least they received the same amount. She could use it responsibly towards rent, groceries, transportation, etc., or in some other way to further her career. so it would still be for educational purposes in a sense. My wife is standing firm in her opinion, and we will continue talking it through tomorrow. Many have asked about where my parents stand on this. At this point, they're not mentally aware enough to really participate in the discussion. They did know about the grad school stipulation and thought it was fine. They also knew that we took out some money for our son once we were certain he was not pursuing an advanced degree, and were fine with that as well. They said it was our decision as parents what to do with our daughter's fund, and they would support whatever we decided for her. It wouldn't be useful to ask them what to do with it now, but I have always said that whatever is unused will go back to their care. I've tried to call my daughter with no luck, which is why I sent the text. Despite what many have said here, I hope this does not end our relationship. Edit. My wife, my son, and I are all religious, and my daughter left the faith when she moved out, which caused a big argument. There were other smaller issues relating to how she identifies, appearance choices, partners, etc. We generally don't bring up these topics because there's no agreement that we can really come to. It's just differences in basic values and principles. I still accept that our daughter is her own person, and she can do what she wants within reason. Update 3. I just wanted to give a final update on the situation. As of right now, we're not planning to do anything with the money in the fund. I sent my daughter another text apologizing for not telling her about it, and she thumbs up reacted to the message. My wife and I have both agreed to wait a few years before looking into having it transferred to her cousin, as she herself suggested, in case our daughter decides that she wants it. We agreed years ago that we would not be contributing to either of our children buying homes, so our daughter would be free to use the money for other living expenses. We do not plan to give her any more than what her brother received. He has not participated in this discussion at all. He is currently very busy, and we see no need to involve him in unnecessarily family drama that doesn't even directly concern him. Parents divorced at an early age. My stepdad was strict, but he was a good father. I'm the oldest child. Due to virus, I didn't go to college this year. I skipped it, and rightfully so, as I have health issues. I'm taking classes online. I don't work and haven't for at least 2 weeks. I left my job at GameStop after they stopped giving me hours and weren't promoting me. My stepdad came in while I was finishing up coursework. He told me I had 2 weeks to get out, or he was forcing me out. I asked him why, and he says I have no direction, no goal. I'm doing nothing with my life. I'm 18. You can't seriously expect me to figure my life out. But he disagrees and claims, yes, I should have a good idea what I want. He says that a parent's job is done after I turn 18. All I do is play video games. I don't have girls over, no friends. We're in a pandemic. I only go out to work. F off. I'm wasting away inside when I should be doing more. I told him I was looking for a better full-time job that had a good career path, and I was taking online classes. I even offered to pay rent. He said no. From his point of view, I'm wasting away, and he won't allow me to become a loser. Adversity brings innovation and strength, and life will be hard, but he knows I will look back and thank him. I don't know what else to do. I feel like he thinks I'm worthless. I spent a lot of time inside last year for good reasons. We are in a pandemic. I don't want to die. Am I being unreasonable? My dad says yes. Yes, I am. I don't know what to do. This isn't really just. My mom mostly goes along with what he says. But I don't know. How can I convince her to convince him to let me stay? Or is my dad justified? Am I a loser for not having any plans past 18? You offered to pay rent. You're making the right moves. Don't worry. I had zero direction at 18. Negative direction, in fact. Many of my friends, even the ones heading to school then, also had no direction if you factor in what they ended up doing. Virus is also insane. Can't imagine if it hit when I was 17. You have my absolute sympathies. Any other time in your life, those accusations would be more insulting. But you're 18? Who has done anything with their life by the time they're 18, or knows what the hell they're gonna do? Certainly nobody I know. A lot of states require a 30-day eviction notice whether you're paying rent or not. Argue that if you can. Take those 30 days to find a place. Take this opportunity as a challenge and say F you by succeeding when others think you can't. Later in life, they may take credit for your success, saying you should thank them for kicking you out. Just know that it was all you. He just kick-started it ahead of schedule. Update. I lied, okay? I'm sorry, Reddit. I admit I lied. I know the reason and always have. It's the same reason my parents divorced. My anger issues. It's the reason why I quit my job. I got angry and stormed out without really being a mature adult about it. My parents see the writing on the wall and see it's only getting worse. I confronted my mom, and after a shouting match, she came to my room and tearfully told me, "This is why we want you gone. You can't control your anger, and it scares us." I fly off the handle at the slightest provocation. When I play games, I get super game rage and destroy things. I do have a habit of breaking. Stepdad told me that they'll let me stay if I get help and prove I can control my anger. He thinks maybe if I have direction or goals, I can manage my anger. But I have to prove I can. Until I do, I have to get out. They're afraid of me. They're afraid of my anger, and they don't know what else to do. They've tried talking to me before. They can't afford therapy. They just hoped it'd go away. But it hasn't, and frankly, it's getting much worse. I don't disagree. I exploded in a rage on someone last thread. I got so mad I broke my keyboard in rage. Over what? A comment I didn't like. Don't even ask what I did when they initially told me I was being kicked out. But yeah, I have anger issues, and I don't know how to control them. I'm sorry for the deception. I just didn't want to admit I have anger problems. I still see myself as innocent. I know deep down I messed up, but my emotions say otherwise.